My name is Max Gagliardi, and this is a Talk Energy podcast. If you're watching this video, take a moment, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, or follow me on your favorite podcast app. And I know that a lot of the people that watch on YouTube aren't subscribers because the analytics tell me that you're not subscribers. And so if you're watching this and if you watched more than one of these, help me out, hit the subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. This episode's guest is two of the partners from Mockingbird Energy, Jeff Burns and Wes Minshall. Jeff and Wes are guys that I've known for a good chunk of my career and that I've worked with in a number of different capacities. We've worked as a client for their prior company that they were at. We've worked on partners for deals. They've worked for us on deals. And they're also two guys that I have some real estate investments with in a company that we formed not too long ago. Down in Broken Bow, as well as some residential stuff. But Jeff and Wes are guys that are extremely knowledgeable on the industry, and Mockingbird is a startup that they've created to do a variety of different things, including mineral acquisition brokerage, helping out on the consulting side for upstream acquisitions, as well as looking at purchasing and operating wells or non-op interests. This episode is filled with discussions of what it's like working in private equity on the E&P side and how that market's evolved. We also go into some shameless plugs on Broken Bow and some of the rental cabins that we've bought and why they're awesome. And you can see the VRBO links in the show notes for this episode. And lastly, we talk about this industry and where we see things moving forward. Hope you enjoy the show. Guys.
Hey, Max.
What's going on? Welcome to Talk Energy. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
This is fun stuff, right? Broken Bow, Oklahoma. Cheers to the new cabin.
Cheers.
Yeah. I'm going to need to refill that. What are we drinking, Wes?
It's an Elijah Craig store pick from a little store in just outside of Denver, Colorado, called Fillmore Liquors.
Nice.
Guy knows his bourbon over there. It's good stuff. It's 10-year.
Fancy schmancy.
Yeah, a lot of schmanciness.
Yeah, you're always bringing the good stuff. Hold on real quick.
Got to, man. Booze is made for drinking.
It is, and Broken Bow is made for buying real estate.
It sure is.
How long have we known each other, guys?
Oh, shoot. Probably going on, what, 7 years? Something like that?
Yeah, about 6 years. Might be coming up on 7.
Yeah.
So it's been fun. Like on the podcast, I've had different people kind of early on that have been like sort of instrumental in my career development, which I would categorize you two as guys in that category, primarily because a lot of the Excalibur stuff. You're one of our very first clients that we ever had on the consulting side, and took a chance on us pretty early on before we really had a lot of resume other than our prior resumes, and so. That's cool. And then since then, we've done a lot of different things, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But most recently, the real estate stuff has been really fun. Wes, you and I have gotten a lot closer doing the real estate stuff, which has been fun. But why don't talk a little bit about your time at Excalibur? Tell me about, and maybe just like real quick backgrounds on both of you guys, just even for my benefit.
Sure. Wes, do you want to go first?
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So my background is I've been in energy my entire career. Went to school at UT. Started working for kind of I describe it as a family office operator, but got to wear a lot of hats. So I was in, doing land work, a lot of due diligence, commercial negotiation, marketing. They had me like digging into well files and doing workovers when I had no idea what the hell I was doing.
All the above.
Yeah, basically all the above. Yeah, when I say grease guy, that's kind of how I describe myself and my experience, because there really is like how I view it. It's like just do whatever's needed.
But how valuable is that, though? It's a pretty valuable experience.
Yeah,
at that time in your career.
Yeah, it was great because I felt like I guess the best way to describe it is I felt like I got 2 or 3 years experience for every 1 year I was working, because just sitting in on meetings and being involved like high level stuff, but also down in the weeds, but in different disciplines, kind of really, just not knowing what the hell you're doing, really, and you just dig in and figure it out. So that was my first 6-7 years of my career. Kind of was capped out as far as where I was going to go there. I was really interested in private equity model. That was the big flavor of the day back then. Things have changed since then, but at the time it was very intriguing to be involved in the private equity model, building up a company, starting from ground zero, full cycle, all that fun stuff. So had an opportunity to jump to Excalibur Resources, which was a company that was kind of focused in, well, ultimately what people would know now as Stack, but originally we were kind of formed to do conventional drilling halos of conventional fields using horizontal technology, but that quickly kind of faded when oil was $100 and it made sense, and it went to $40,
right.
And then also at that same time the Stack and Scoop was being announced. Some of that stuff was kind of coming across the areas we were focused on, and so it kind of evolved into more of like a resource model, but really originally wasn't.
Sure.
And so was there doing kind of evaluations, and that's in a lot of marketing stuff, and that's where we got hooked up, Max. When I was kind of heading the.
Do you remember how we met? I don't remember.
Well, it was through the Tall Oak guys.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, because we had kind of talked.
I got to give Carlos credit for something. He's watching this.
Yeah. Well, it may have been Rhett, actually.
Okay.
So you don't have to give Carlos credit if you don't want.
There you go.
Yeah.
Rhett's our boy. He's like the other member of the real estate crew that's not here right now.
He's not here.
The fourth musketeer.
That's right.
He is.
But so Rhett, I think it was Rhett, because Rhett had he had worked with Henry, who's our CFO over there at Teak,
right. Yeah.
And so talked to him, and we were kind of figuring out consultants and having a hard time figuring out who was working for us and who was trying to screw us.
Sure.
And
common problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And he recommended you guys. Of course, it ended up working out for them in the long run too, because maybe not, but
debatable.
Yeah, debatable. That's a whole nother story. We don't have to get into.
I'm not trying to poke fun. Everybody's struggling right now.
Oh, I know. Yeah, no, a lot circumstantial, but
very much.
In an ideal world, you never know. But so that's how we got hooked up and met you and Mark and thought the world of you guys, and we worked really well together. And you guys spent probably 3-4 years consulting for Excalibur.
Yeah, a number of years.
And then subsequent to that, when we kind of decided to break off and do our thing, we did some consulting for you guys.
Sure.
And so roles kind of switched for a little bit.
And pause before we go into the rest of Mockingbird, because I want to hear Wes. Just give me your lead up.
Okay.
Your wind up and pitch.
Man, so I started. I went to the University of Colorado Boulder, and they don't really have a PLM program there. It's a little left leaning, so not big on the industry.
Not a lot of oil and gas stuff.
No, not a lot. So I really didn't know anything about the industry, and ended up.
What do you do up in Boulder, Wes?
There's a lot of trees that need loving, man. There's just a lot of them out there.
What do they do up there?
That's a good question, man. It's amazing to me when I think back about my school experience and what really translated over to being useful. But yeah, I went to work for a broker in Denver right out of college, pretty much, and fell in love with land work. And started to pursue that. Did some work for Noble Energy in Denver, and then I took a job at Merit Energy in Dallas. That's how I got over to good old Texas. My wife went to graduate school there, and so it brought us to Dallas. And I spent some time at Merit. It was very similar to what Jeff described. With his experience, we wore a lot of hats there. It was good. It was they had when I got there. They didn't really have like a division between land and land management, so the landmen did all the division order setup and everything, and so that was actually really good because I feel like you need to learn that kind of stuff.
Sure,
you can't manage what you don't know.
Yeah.
So
you have to. You got to learn from the basics. I think it's nobody wants to do the grunt stuff that teaches you the basics, but even in our career, or even with what we did with Vancouver, a lot of the non-op stuff we did, that was like lowest man on the totem pole stuff at Chesapeake. No one wanted to focus on it, and the fact that like I was the grunt and I had to learn it, we actually ended up making like a business out of it at some level, right? So it's weird. Just even like certain things, you're like, I don't want to learn this part of the business. Well, guess what? You're not alone, and it probably means that a lot of people don't know that part of the business because they're not focused on it. And specific knowledge is like value, right?
It's huge. Yeah. And I had a similar experience to Jeff. It's like I'd kind of learned as much as I could at the time there, and so I went to a family company as well. I went to work for J. Cleo Thompson, and that was an incredible experience. in a lot of ways. But it was like right into the frying pan. There was a rig schedule and things that I was not used
You
to.
got to tell them your fun stat though. Like, weren't you like the first landman?
Yeah, I was the first in-house landman that the company had ever had.
And this is like
the token land guy.
Yeah, but you're talking about like, at the time, like this is like the seventh biggest oil gas producer?
Seventh largest oil producer in Texas.
Wow,
isn't that amazing?
No landman.
They've been around for more than 40 years, and they never had an in-house landman.
They're like, what did they do? They just hire brokers?
Yeah, they have a really good broker relationship that they've had for almost almost their entire existence.
But isn't that like a weird phenomenon at some of these oil and gas companies? It's kind of like with the marketing stuff and the midstream stuff like we do. Like, how many companies like don't have that expertise, and you're like, you guys are doing like huge scale development. Don't have anyone on staff that has an expertise for like one of the main things. It's like a huge driver of the value, and so is land. And it's kind of wild to me that certain companies can get that far with not having. It's kind of like some of these technology things.
You can see it for some disciplines, but I mean, if you're running multiple rigs and not on the land side, not having like anybody in house, it just seems crazy to me.
Yeah. Anyways, it was so, I kind of came at a good time because when I first got there, the business model was to kind of poke a bunch of vertical holes.
Sure.
And that's what they were good at. Mr. Thompson was not really, he didn't think a lot of horizontal drilling.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until after he passed away that they really started drilling horizontal wells. Now, we all know that worked out really well for him. And I left and...
Is that sarcasm?
No, it's like they did extremely
They did good? Okay, I couldn't tell.
No.
Not everybody did really well drilling horizontal wells.
Yeah.
So.
No,
when you said that, I was confused.
They got some,
I don't know.
They got people that really did know what they were doing on the technical side, and just drilled some incredible wells and had some great divestitures. I was there through the Berea Draw divestiture. I did not stick around to the end of the Red Bull deal, but I did join Excalibur during that time, and obviously that's where I met up with Jeff, and we kind of worked well together from the get-go and just kind of got along. We started doing some investing together, it was like, okay, this makes sense. So once we kind of saw the writing on the wall and realized, hey, this is going to go one way or the other, and we can try to get in front of this and get something going and see what we're made of.
Let's talk about that aspect of what you guys did, because there is some serious guts involved with making the plunge to do. There was a post on LinkedIn recently where people, Colin from the Digital Wildcatters was talking about making the plunge into doing your own thing, and you posted about it, and you just talked about like how intense that is. Yeah. And I was kind of forced into doing Ancova. Like I was out of a job, and then I was like, how do I make it hustle? But you guys just like basically were like, there's opportunity cost. You were more scared of the opportunity cost than you were of the not having a paycheck. Like, that's pretty. You guys have to be pretty confident.
Yeah, I mean, it was something that we were, full disclosure, we had a number of discussions kind of leading up to that. And we all, and there's a third partner, Taylor, who's our reservoir engineer. He's the brains of the operation, but we had all talked about, either jumping off and doing our own private equity deal, or what that would look like, and then ultimately it just came down to, I think it was our controller that was, we knew he was leaving, and I came back from a 2-week long vacation. And I came into Wes's and Taylor's office, and I was just like,
so Bob Netterville, you knew he was leaving? Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah. So
we're calling him out.
Yeah, we're calling him out.
Bob, sorry, man.
Yeah, sorry, dude.
You're the catalyst.
He really was.
Bob's a good dude. We should get him on this.
He needs to be on this. We need some Netterville.
We could do a whole episode of Bob Netterville's grandpa's stories.
Oh my god! Yes, that's definitely going to be a thing.
Yeah, it's a whole podcast.
Trust.
But anyway, circling back, so we knew he was leaving, and I just felt like this freedom when I was out, in Colorado for 2 weeks over Christmas break, and I came back, and I was just like, I went into Wes and Taylor's office, like, guys, I'm effing out. Like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I know I'm not making, jumping off to not knowing what the heck we're gonna do.
Right.
I was just like, y'all,
You
I
talked
want
about
you
it
to
with
come
me.
with.
You talked about it with me for a while, and you kept being like, I just I'm at that tipping point.
Yeah.
Without going into the details, it would actually be interesting without going into specifics about the pros, cons, folly of just private equity and E&P. When we talk about that, maybe here in a little bit. But I think you guys experienced some of it, and just a realization about the model and how it works.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys have come into that realization.
It was just seeing the struggles there and the challenges of, not just, Excalibur and that, asset specific, company specific challenges, but just challenges with the model,
Right.
Overall.
Right.
And it was more so just like, look, let's take a bet on ourselves and go.
I love that bet. That's a good bet.
Yeah.
Most people, if they believe in themselves, should take that bet.
Yeah. I mean, I think in the long run, you're going to be better off.
I agree.
Now, that was not without challenges because so that was, a big bet. And
it's a big bet.
And it's a tough one to just jump without anything lined up. Like, I mean, we get asked that question. I've been asked that question a lot.
People are like, either this person's stupid, they like quit their job, but I'm like, this person's, they know what's up. They've got some serious guts.
Yeah. I mean, but and we did it at probably the absolute worst time ever.
You guys have had success.
Yeah, we have, but it's.
So was it really the worst time? I mean, what's the best time though?
I mean, think about it. I mean, like at that time, this is what, late 18, early 19.
Yeah.
So you got to realize this is the beginning of the Smashco era. Where PE's kind of falling apart. That model's busting up. You don't really have any opportunities there.
Hard times.
You have zero capital behind you.
Tough scene.
You have the ability to raise capital. Just privately is incredibly difficult.
You also have this realization that you are like one number on the roulette wheel, and that your sponsor's just spinning the wheel, and they're like, all right, you know what I mean? Like you guys had like a bunch of people, maybe like without, I don't want to throw NCAP under the bus. We all know it was NCAP back Excalibur, but like talk a little bit about just like the amount of teams in like a concentrated area during that heyday. It was kind of wild.
Yeah, no, that was really tough. But I mean, on the one hand, from us as a Portco, it's challenging because you have a lot of different teams that are competing for
in the same area,
same assets. But when you look at it, I don't blame them at all, because when you look at it from NCAP's perspective, I mean, they have 10 teams and 7 of them didn't work out, but 3 of them did.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah, and you had Felix, and you had Payrock, and you had Staghorn, and you had Paloma.
Yeah.
And well, I don't know. Palama's still
Council Oak.
I guess to be determined. Council Oak didn't really work out, but you had Council Oak.
I'm just reading off all the teams. I was just like listing them all. Yeah.
Yeah. There's more than that. I'm sure I've already forgotten a few of them, but
Travis Peak.
Yeah.
But you've got all these teams in there, and it's probably 6 or 7, and 4 or 5 of them don't work out, but 2 to 3 of them do.
Yeah.
But when you add up, like, okay, I bet this company spent this and they made this, and this company spent this and they made this.
Yeah.
Well, overall, they've made a 2.5 or 3x on the whole basin. So I mean, the play, it worked out great for them.
Yeah.
But
the narrative they tell the management teams is that you need to bet everything on this. It's very much like and not to get too cynical on private equity, because private equity is really powerful and can be very transformative for a lot of teams and a lot of people.
I'm not knocking that at all.
No, private equity, again, can be very transformative, and it gives you a carry unlike any carry that you can get outside of probably venture capitalism.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to knock it in that sense, but there is a sense of you are leveraging your personal life and time and net worth in a lot of ways on a very high, very low probability bet that is high probability for them because of the diversification. And that's just real time. I mean, This is real. I'm not trying to talk bad on it. That just is what it is.
It's not bad. That's the reality of it.
Right.
And everyone knows that going into it.
Sure.
So it's not something that's, I sit there and say, "Oh, this is terrible." No, it was a great learning experience. I mean, starting a company and like seeing it more or less full cycle,
right?
In that level of growth and that level of capital behind it, and in the model that it was in. I mean, that was tremendously valuable to me.
Whether or not it's asymmetric, if you look at the return profile, I mean, realistically, even if you have to put your own equity in on a real dollars amount, the multiple on invested capital for a waterfall case is very high.
Yeah.
I mean, if you looked at the distribution of returns, like, yeah, you could lose money and lose a chunk of your principal or a big portion of your principal in investing in oil and gas, but the skewed distribution around, even those are low probability outcomes, even at low probability, it's high outcomes. So you have to weight it appropriately, but still, it's like it makes sense in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of guys do it.
It does.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a time and a place for it, for sure. And that was it's just challenging now because investors just are not, looking for that. I mean, there's a whole lot of reasons why that model is a little bit challenged now. And I think, you obviously see private equity shifting too on what they're focused on.
Green.
Green. Yeah, exactly. You see a lot of that. You just don't see anymore. I mean, I'm not telling you anything that everybody doesn't know, but you don't see a lot of the build-up lease positions, drill a couple wells and flip. It just doesn't work anymore because no one's paying for inventory. People want to see cash flow yield. They want to see performance. They want to see dividends. They want to see their money back. Their investors do. So, the game is shifted. Clearly. So.
Yeah, so you guys have had to pivot and do something new. Talk some about Mockingbird and the opportunities you've seen in the post. So we've kind of talked a little bit about this, kind of the post-mortem of private equity that we went through right there. So now that that's challenged, I don't think it's dead. I think commodity prices are going to drive a lot of behaviors. Sure. We can talk about public sentiment. We can talk about the green movement. We can talk about ESG. We can talk about what's popular, but returns, man. I mean, like the end of the day, the returns hadn't been that great, realistically, and a lot of that's commodity price driven. So
that's not private equity; that's the industry as a whole.
Exactly.
I mean, they've been destroyers of capital for 10 years. It's the reality.
It's tough business.
Yeah,
tough business.
Yep.
So post Excalibur, Mockingbird, what different initiatives? What are you guys trying to do? What's the vision?
It's been kind of it's been tough, and the reality is, I mean, we've had a couple of long-term, business models plans. I mean, we've kind of pivoted. We've looked at a number of different things. I mean, we worked on a project together for probably 5-6 months on more of a greenfield joint upstream midstream venture that spent a lot of our time working on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Didn't we got about half of that more or less funded. Didn't catching a falling knife on gas prices going from $3, $2, $1.50,
$1.20.
Yeah, $1.20. So that and that's fast. That it can't. It was just challenged obviously at that point. And then that was probably the first 5, 6, 7 months of our existence. We were pretty heavily focused on that. Subsequent to that, we partnered up with another guy, an attorney, that we were looking at kind of doing a just-in-time capital model where we're the thought process was, there's so many non-op owners out there that just can't afford to fund pad development AFEs, and so really like that model. We had some kind of an organic fundraise effort on that front. We had some money raised or committed from family offices. We had money committed from private equity that we were talking to, term sheets with. Yeah, and kind
you guys had some money raised. I mean, it was going into COVID. It was very much.
We had about 15-20 million raised on the private side.
No big deal.
And
no big deal.
Needs. And then we had about 50 to 75 with private equity.
You guys are hustling. Like the admiration that I have, as you talk about, someone who's like an entrepreneur. I mean, I feel like weird saying that, but someone who knows entrepreneurship, it's impressive. I mean, you have to be able to reinvent yourself. You have to. Like this whole idea of getting married to like one strategy or whatever, like that's folly. Like you got to be able to figure out, pivot.
Well, and that's why I keep coming back to like the wrong time, because it's been so challenging. And so we thought we had a model we really liked. We believed in it. We had actionable opportunities. We were in the deal flow. We saw stuff we could act on. We had capital that was coming together. And then what do you know? Sitting in Utah skiing, and all of a sudden Saudi and Russia decided to get in a pissing match, and oil goes from it was already slipping down to 50, high 40s, and all of a sudden boom goes to 30.
Yeah.
And
not to mention negative 30 with a virus that no one had ever.
So we're literally. I mean, I was up there with a buddy of mine from college, and he's somewhat higher up at Kane Anderson, and I see him in the St. Regis bar in Park City, Utah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? He's just like shaking his head. Like, I mean, he is sweating and I'm just like, okay, well, man, if this private equity dude is smarter than me, is just like, what the hell is going on?
That's an assumption.
Well, I mean, they're smart guys and, they're the pulse on
That's
things.
an assumption.
Yeah. Well, point being is no one knew what the hell was going on.
Yeah, you're right.
And so from there, it was just, okay, crap. Like, we think we're like going full blast. Like, we're ready to go. We're ready to conquer the world. We have a model we believe in. We have opportunities. We have capital. Everything's coming together. So just, crap.
Fart noise.
Yeah, fart noise.
It was, and it wasn't just you. It was like the collectively, the world, not just the oil and gas. Like a lot of people. I have Michelle's cousin-in-law. I don't know if he'll ever watch this, but he's a very successful restaurant management group that they've opened up a number of restaurants. They were just launching a new one, and it launched like right when COVID hit. And that's tough. They're fine. I mean, it stayed open, and I don't know their personal situation, but from the outside looking in, it seems like they're doing okay. I mean, the restaurants are popular, and they're attracting guests even during COVID. But not just oil and gas. A lot of industries got dealt a raw car. I mean, it was a bad hand.
Yeah. No doubt. I mean, think about commercial real estate. And, how many people are like,
making big bets.
There. Yeah. I mean, we had like the office building we were renting, and they had just spent like $100, $200 million renovating this thing. They were trying to charge, they're raising rent like 50-60% over these long-term tenants, and all this.
Life's not fair, dude.
Everyone's leaving.
Life's not fair.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, point being is it literally hit everything, and so we're just sitting there.
I wish I was in the plexiglass business though. Like if you made any type of signage,
any type of that was all just
plexiglass
or mask. That was all China. I mean,
dude, you were straight
or just
rolling in
invested in Zoom. That probably worked too.
Like the thing that I had another guest on, and Max, this other guy, on another episode, and he was like, had I just had the like calm foresight to just be like Amazon, like right
drones,
right when this hit, it was just like, what is everybody gonna do? They're gonna sit in their house and they're gonna order everything for a year, and or like whatever. There's a lot of
you save so much money by not going out and doing stuff. You're like, what am I gonna do with all this money? I buy some random stuff on Amazon.
I mean, shoot, we probably talked about that, Max. I mean, I had similar ideas, but I was like, man, I don't know. Like, I got to pay my mortgage. Like, I can't just sit there and like invest in all this.
I kept being like, I'm going to go all in when the bottom hits, and the bottom was there for like one day, and then the stocks just went up like 40% the next day, and I was like, oh crap.
Yep.
Luckily, I stayed invested. I kept doing the cost dollar averaging, just like consistently, but I didn't like. I mean, you can't ever time it. No. It's like impossible to like pull everything out. You're like, I'm gonna pull it all out right now, and I'm gonna put it back in. It's like, no, you're not. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah. So, anyways, back to our story a little bit. So that was like, okay, it's a total reset again.
Right. So another just total curveball.
Yeah, it's total curveball, total reset. So Russia and Saudi decided to start things off, and then COVID clearly finished things off, and we went to negative $30 a barrel or whatever it was.
Dark days.
Yeah, it was very dark days. And so, but when we were in, kind of in the deal space for that, and kind of focusing on new basins that made sense, or that where you're able to drill at lower break-even costs, really just Permian, essentially.
Yeah.
We started leveraging our relationships, started leveraging, just contacts and getting into deal flow for the mineral space.
Yeah.
And, so we were able to, which was new to us. I mean, we've always been closer to money. We've been closer to deal flow, just more in the action. I mean, we're not used to being so much in the middle of things, which is a little bit uncomfortable for us.
For sure.
Quite honestly, there's a lot of bad
actors, if you will.
There's a lot of bad actors in that space, and that makes us a little more uncomfortable because we're trying to.
It's also tough to be ethical. We're just not do the right thing.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it very difficult to like walk that line
because a lot of guys aren't.
Because other people aren't.
Right.
It's not that, but I think to our credit, have really stayed true to that. Like, we just don't compromise our ethics. We don't compromise, what we stand for. And so we were able to have success. I mean, we had a couple of larger deals that we were able to get closer to towards the end of, or really worked through probably the second half of 2020, that I think were really good deals for the seller, for the buyers, worked out for us. And I think we were able to differentiate ourselves because we're not just a guy forwarding an email. We're not trying to blow smoke up people's behinds. I mean, we'll look at things through a technical lens. Does it make sense as a deal? Does it make sense to the buyer? What are they looking for? What are they, how do they underwrite? What is the seller after? Is this a fair deal? Like all those things that just kind of have to come together. And I feel like we were really, it really surprised me how we were able to put those things together and really do well for everybody. Sure. And that's when it feels good. Is when it all comes together like that. And so that was really successful for us. Towards the end there, we're still kind of chasing that. We're still looking at, in the energy space, we're trying to get creative, as on a couple different avenues. The playbook, I mean, the way we view it is the playbook's changing. We don't know. We don't know exactly what
it's changing a lot.
It's changing. And so I don't know what that is. I mean, we're trying to remain flexible to be able to act on some of those things. But, it's really hard to see with a new administration, new focus. I don't know exactly. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know exactly where it's going to go. I just know it's changing. I know it's going to be different. And when I see something, I want to be able to run through the door. And I haven't quite seen that. I've got some. I mean, we've all talked about those ideas. And there's definitely things that have a lot of potential, but as far as Mockingbird's concerned, we're still just kind of staying nimble and seeing what makes sense. I don't know that any of us have a ton of conviction about exactly what that's going to be. So
it helps to have like a team that is multidisciplined as well. That's just something that we also don't see a lot of in that space. So it's nice to be able to get something, create a useful product basically for the groups that we have worked with.
You guys check a lot of boxes for like the deal space.
It helps. Yeah. I mean, we got used to evaluating stuff. That was really valuable experience from Excalibur.
Talk about it a little bit. Talk about why you guys check those boxes. Like, let's go through. I mean, we know your guys' backgrounds. You just talked about them, but the reality is, you need different disciplines in these deals, and you guys are being a little modest. You've had some success. It's been good success, and the reason why you've had success is because you have the knowledge base. And to your point, a couple of things I want to touch on. One is you talked about ethics. Like, I recommend you guys all the time to people because I know like business is a long game. And if you have relationships, it makes it easier to do business over time, right? Like if you've done a deal with somebody year one, and then you've done a deal with them year 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. By the time you're 6, 7, 10, 15, like those deals get a lot easier to do because a lot of the worries that you would normally have with somebody, you don't have to worry about them anymore.
Right.
So it allows you to focus on the things that are more important, like the deal dynamics, instead of worrying about these other things that may not really drive the economics of that deal. You have that comfortability, if that's a word. I don't know if that's a word, but comfortability with somebody that you can be able to execute at a high level, understanding that the character of the person. You're not having to worry about these things that you would otherwise worry about. So the fact that you guys have been able to have that reputation and do these good things allows people like me to recommend you to people that I know and say, hey, talk to these guys. And so I think that's something that has been a part of your success and will continue to be. The other thing is you guys have been able to adapt, like I talked about, which is huge. So understanding that right now what you're doing is great. You've had some success, but that may not be what carries you forward. And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with is like what got us here today is not necessarily like the thing that's carrying us forward. That's a hard thing to wrap your head around. You got to figure out like what's the new thing. I think you guys have done a good job of that. But all things that I admire, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think it's just kind of echoing some of the things you said.
Well, appreciate it. No, that's a high compliment, and those are things we strive to do. As far as the, always stay grounded, stay ethical, because it's easy to veer from that, and I think that we all have a really good working relationship, and that's what we all share in common. I
Sure.
mean, Wes and Taylor as well, who's not here, but you know, we don't compromise that in any scenario. Period.
It's a long game.
Yeah, just won't do it. Period. It doesn't make sense. And
For
so,
sure.
But yeah, no, it's been a wild ride for 2 years.
Yeah.
A lot of ups and downs. A lot of
So I want to get into like the oil, like where we're at today, because like there's been stuff happening. Oil prices are up. Fed's printing money. We can talk about the oil markets and we can pontificate around where things are going. That's fine. But I got to make a shameless plug for the real estate side of what we've been doing. I mean, we've been doing some fun stuff on that side of it too.
Absolutely.
And part of that was through the darkness of negative oil prices and everything that we went through this last summer, and us having a lot of heart-to-heart conversations. And like, well, what are you working on? I'm like, what are you working on? And it's like,
we're looking for
oil
a
prices.
hedge.
Oil prices are negative. Government's printing a lot of money. Interest rates are ultra low. There's other bets you can make. We could talk about Bitcoin. That's a popular one in oil and gas right now that I could talk too much about, and I do right currently. But more than Bitcoin, let's talk about real estate and some of the things we've done over the last, how many months has it been now? About 6 months or longer?
Yeah. No,
longer?
it's probably been since when did we start talking? Maybe July, August, maybe.
So it's getting
It was probably
longer.
August, maybe August, September, something like that.
So tell your history. I know this is an energy focused thing, but we can do whatever we want. So talk about your real estate background, how you guys kind of dabbled in it, and now how we've pushed a lot of chips on the table.
Yeah. So it actually came from oil and gas because Wes and I had invested.
Yeah, that's a great part of that story. I love that.
So we found a deal that, man, I wish it had larger scale, and I wish we had some more powder at the time. But I mean, as far as like just return, it just blew it out of the water.
Yeah.
It was
Love
just
those kind of deals.
a random non-op deal that paid X for, and then had some random pieces and parts, and ended up with some acreage in the Permian that someone wanted to pay way too much money for. So we sold that, and we're like, okay, well, don't really want to pay taxes. So
They paid the right amount.
Yeah. So
just break that down. You don't have to give specific numbers. Weren't you guys like, we bought this, we thought it was going to be worth like 15% or 30% more than what we paid, and it ended up being...
we made like 10, 12x.
Ooh.
And
got to have a couple of those every once in a while, you know? You got to get a little 10x every...
It might have given us a little too much confidence.
in about a 2-year period.
Yeah,
So it was nice. It was nice.
That's good.
It's one of those once in a lifetime
everybody
deals.
should like to hear good news stories in the oil and gas industry. Are you just addicted to good news stories? Like anytime you hear somebody they made a bunch of money on something, you're like, that's great. You're so happy that I can like hear a story about someone not just like getting destroyed.
Those are out there for sure.
Yeah, well, you hear about the good news stories, and like some people are like, I love them in the oil and gas industry because there's like not that many. Really,
No, you're right.
realistically,
you hold on to those, and you're like, I could do that, and then no, this is just complete blind luck,
right?
Blind,
that's true, totally.
And like I said, I wish there was more skill to it because it wasn't like it was something we could retire off of, but it was a really good deal for us.
Yeah.
So we ended up deciding to, let's 1031 this. So we put it into a condo up in
Gotta love the 1031.
Yeah, 1031 is a great way to avoid taxes. We're like, hey, let's go. It's a place we can use. We can have fun and rent it out. It'll pay for itself, and it did. We had that for 3.5 years and probably made, sold it for a good bit more and made 20-25% rate of return on that. We started talking, and you were like, well, hey, like I'm into real estate, and like I'm buying some single family residences, and I was like, hey, have you thought about vacation rentals? And
I was like, no,
not
really. I mean, I had, but not like I didn't understand the full power of Broken Bow, Oklahoma.
Well, yeah, and then I started. Well, neither did I. Honestly, at the time, I was like, I just heard of this, and so I started talking to, I don't know, I think it was someone I officed with, and they were up here, and they're like, this guy was talking. He's like, hey, like, I'm renting my place. I bought this place, and I'm renting out for this. And I'm like, wait, what? Because I knew what we were renting our place out for, kind of in Park City, and I was like, that's bullshit. Like, no way that's true.
Yeah, this is a crazy number.
Yeah, like you're insane. And then I started calling realtors, and we were talking. I was like, I got to get to the bottom of this. So I started talking to property management companies, realtors, all that stuff. I was already comfortable with kind of the model and what it was.
Sure.
But now I'm looking at it from a business standpoint, and not just from a place to park money and enjoy it and go ski and
right,
screw off.
Yeah.
And it was true. And this continues to surprise me to today. I continue to come up here, probably once, twice a month, and doing research, recon, and every layer of the onion I peel back, I get more and more excited about it.
A little bit of magic.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of magic kind of underlying this whole place.
Yeah, it's a great place. It has a lot to offer. Especially for like the family. It's very early on. And then now we're seeing it, right? Like we bought our first place. Now we got our second place. We're looking for a third and fourth. The returns are there. They just are.
And there's a lot of room for
commercial growth, too.
Well, but it's a lot of room on the returns for things get 30% worse, no big deal. Things get 50% worse, all right, that's fine. We're still going to make a return on the investment. This place is
that's something that we didn't have in Park City.
Right. Yeah,
and that was another great reason for us to bounce when we did, because we saw all the kind of the change, the uncertainty in the market, right?
Yes.
And
Park City, I told somebody you guys sold your Park City place, and they're like, they're going to regret that. Because it's the property value up there is
it's crazy.
Only getting crazier.
The equity that we made on it was insane for the amount of time.
It was a short hold.
It was a short hold, and we did get a lot of usage out of it, and we did really enjoy it. I love it up there.
Yeah. I've actually never been.
We'll get another place up there. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We'll get another place. We need to get a place a place in Austin. Let's get we need to really splurge and go Lake Travis and bust on a $1.5-2 million place. Even though it seems like a lot, it won't be in 10 years, dude.
No, you're right.
In 10 years, that same place is going to be going for $10 million because this is the new California.
You're 100%
all
right.
the tech money moving in there, absolutely.
10 years ago, my wife and I talked about buying a place in Hawaii, and we said the same thing.
I've been saying that same thing for 20 years now.
People, it's always seems expensive.
That were buying the smartest thing were people parents that bought their kids
dude,
a condo.
They crushed it.
Boulder, I watched that happen time and time again in Boulder. Just
they buy places for the kids and use it, and then all of a sudden it's selling for $200,000 more 4 years later.
Yeah, easy.
If you bought property in the ski areas of Colorado in the 90s, you've 10x'd your money.
Absolutely.
At least.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
There was nothing up there then.
Right.
I
was
you used to go to
say
you can't do that again?
Yeah.
With where inflation's going.
It's crazy.
How much money are they printing, Max?
A lot of money. A lot of money. So I've been going down the Bitcoin rabbit hole a little bit, and I've tried to pull you guys in some. And part of that's been these guys I'm talking to some, the Bitcoin people are evangelical around the message, around the macro. Sure. It's you start to talk to these people. If you ever, I don't know if you guys are on Twitter much, but if you're negative about Bitcoin on Twitter, you better be, saddle up and get prepared to get assaulted by the Bitcoin people that just love it. And they're all pumpers. And I know that they're all just pumping their book, right? They're all they have owned a bunch of Bitcoin and they're trying to sell you on this future world, but they make a lot of good points. Yeah. And if they've been in it since earlier, they're all
there's
really rich.
There's a lot of fundamentals behind it.
It's hard to argue with really rich people because I'm whether you're smart or not, I'm you've made the right call.
I know. I know. No, you're absolutely right.
You know what I'm saying? It's
absolutely right.
Who am I to say? Who am I to say that you're dumb?
Yeah.
But it's they make a lot of good points, and inflation is if you look at Warren Buffett, it's a good one that I like to quote, and I don't know if it's true, but I read it somewhere. But Warren Buffett, when he was born, apparently the dollar was worth 7 cents. So in today's dollars, it was 7 cents when he was born. So if you think about it, you think about somebody who just didn't do anything. If you just it just punishes people that
get old.
You just punish people that save money.
Yeah.
If you just save money and you don't put it to work at all, you just lose a lot every year.
Yeah,
so true.
And so real estate. For a lot of reasons, we won't get into the technicals. It hedges you against that. There's a store of value there. It's a store of value potentially in Bitcoin. I think that there's a good argument to be made for it, and I really like that argument. I think that the tech and digital aspect of where we're going in general speaks to the fact that it makes a lot of sense. Like we joked around today, you were like, did you bring your checkbook? And I was like, I'll just Bitcoin you. It's like, I'll just Bitcoin you the money, because I was like, we'll do it Venmo, and you're like, oh, they won't allow you to do that much. I was like, I'll just send you Bitcoin. It's like, it's not that big a deal. So I mean, like there are like if you look at like the technical aspect of it, it is interesting in that front, but a lot of money's getting printed. Oil and gas, I think, could be the benefit too, because there's an energy podcast. I mean, look, we pay for oil with dollars. We pay for gas with dollars
for now.
Yeah,
for now. Maybe with Bitcoin in the future, you get a lot more if you turn it into Bitcoin. But the point is that you are in an environment where commodity prices are really low. Gas prices have been low for a decade.
Yeah.
A decade.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at what
crazy.
natural gas costs, and even really like inflation adjusted, it's like I don't know if this is true. I'm going to make this statement. It could be false. Someone fact check me, but I think it's cheaper than it was 20, 30 years ago, inflation adjusted.
Wow.
Like if you look, I think, or it's at least on par. I think it's close. Because I mean, think about it. Like if gas is $2, and in the 90s it was like $1 something, like inflation adjusted is probably at least at par, maybe cheaper than it was back then. And that's like the raw input to everything: your hats, your jacket. A lot of the stuff in this house, these microphones.
It's a sweet jacket, though, huh?
It is, dude, I was just going to talk about that earlier. So I had two like non-topical points. One was,
do you want one?
One was that you guys have Mockingbird swag, and you have nicer swag than Ankova has. We've been around for 6 years.
You just got to know the right people, man.
We got to get in the game. The other thing was that I was going to make fun of Jeff for saying behind, because that's more offensive than the word ass to me for some reason. But that's okay. You said behind. And I was like, are you a kindergarten teacher? Or what does your wife teach? What does she teach?
She's an elementary art school teacher.
So she says behind. That's where you picked that up?
She probably says ass, actually. I don't know.
Like in the classroom?
You were like, I'm on a podcast. You're like, we'll kick their behinds.
We'll kick their... I don't even know. I don't remember I said that. But
you said behind. I was like, you're going to regret that.
No, I thought...
Do I need to drop some F-bombs?
I thought it was really good self-editing.
Some more whiskey.
I thought it was great self-editing. I thought it was evidence of you not only having a young child, but about to have another one. So,
yeah, I know.
There's that. I have to catch...
I got to bite my tongue a little bit, especially now.
Little sponges, man.
He repeats everything.
Yeah, you got to watch yourself.
They do. So we've gone in on the Broken Bow stuff. Talk about the new house, because this seems to be a promo. We're gonna clip this out and make it an ad for the new place. The new place is sweet.
It is pretty
Rent
sweet.
it out. It's gonna be sick.
It's gonna be sick.
Yeah.
It's looking really good.
You'll
Two hot tubs, massive game room. It's got a shuffleboard, pool table, a bunch of arcades. 70-inch TVs everywhere. Everywhere you look, 70-inch TV.
They're heavy.
They're gonna be like,
those are heavy.
Taking a dump, 70-inch TV in the bathroom. I'm just kidding, but they're gonna be everywhere.
Taking a dump.
There's gonna be a lot of 70-inch TVs all over the place.
On the ceiling.
Yeah, all over the place. And not only that, the property's really nice. You got a good view.
Dude,
you got the two
creek running through the back.
The sunsets there.
Yeah, sunsets
ridiculous.
For the nominal price of $2,000 a night, you can enjoy this too. Come join us at Angel's Landing, the new cabin, the new hotspot.
The Broken Bow, Oklahoma. Hochtown, Oklahoma.
Did you ever think that you guys would be spending, you'd be buying $1 million properties in Hochtown, Oklahoma?
No, I did not.
Not even a little bit.
I would be doing that.
Not even one time did that cross my mind.
It's interesting,
isn't it?
What's weird? So why does DFW love this area so much?
Because it's drivable.
Yeah.
It's really easy to get to. Like, there's it's we don't have anything in Texas proper. Like the Hill Country's nice, but we don't have anything that it looks like this. I shouldn't say. I haven't been to East Texas. I know Tyler's got some nice pine area.
The Hill Country's great, and I went to school there. I love it, but it doesn't have this.
Sure,
like it's I get
it.
The lake, like the pine trees, the topography. I mean, it's got fly fishing. That's like 2.5 hours away from North Texas.
Yeah,
I mean, you just can't find that anywhere around. So that to me, and then like on top of that, like it's just. The accommodations are great. It's like you're camping, but
they're really nice,
like cabins. I mean, they're
I think it's called glamping.
It's glamping. Yeah. I mean, it's probably a step above glamping.
You just bring your own food and booze.
Super nice. And, for like getting away with friends and family, like it's really hard to beat, honestly.
It is.
I mean, that's the attraction.
Absolutely. So that's been a fun thing that we don't use it a lot because it's like it's a business. It's what we're trying to do is, create a business, but at the same time, it's fun. Yeah, it's fun to invest in that those types. And we're also doing residential too. We're about to close on another residential.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we've got one that we're trying to get under contract. So, doing some of that, doing the vacation rentals, trying to evolve, I think is kind of the key there. But we spent a lot of focus the last year thinking, self-reflecting, trying to figure out, are we on the right path? Oil and gas is challenged. I don't want to get into the energy transition. It's kind of beat to death by a lot of people. I mean, we talk about it a lot. Podcasts, we talk about it. It's in the news. So let's be a little contrarian and talk about the opportunities that could come from the energy transition. And we talked, we've been relatively negative on oil and gas. We've said some positive things, some negative things, but moving forward, I see a lot of positive stuff potentially here in the near term. I mean, there's some interesting. Oil was flirting. It was WTI was tickling 65 today.
No,
that's exciting.
If you would have told me that 4 or 5 months ago, I'd have told you you're crazy. So,
right.
I think it's a sign. It's a sign that obviously demand's coming back. Corona's kind of not
tapering.
obviously not gone, but yeah, tapering. That's a good word for it.
Yeah.
And I mean, supply's not going to be there. I mean, I think it just comes down to fundamentals at this point. Really, is kind of how
I've pent up demand.
Right. I've
pent up demand.
Yeah,
oh, dude,
you have pent up demand for sure.
Just traffic this morning is a perfect example. I haven't driven down to Dallas in prime rush hour traffic, and I don't live far away. I live in Plano. I live very close. I'm 12 miles away from Jeff's house. And it took me 45 minutes. Now, there were some situations along the way, but that's not normal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's actually normal. It's normal.
Yeah.
But I've gotten...
It hasn't been the normal last year.
It hasn't been the normal last year. So I'm like, yeah, okay, so things are definitely picking back up. So, yeah, there's going to be pent-up demand. I think you're going to see more... You're going to see more planes in the air again, and I think that's going to be huge. I mean, we all know how much fuel one of those planes takes compared to just a consumer. So, absolutely. Demand, I think, is going to...
I'm living that right now. I mean, I hadn't thought about flying in the last year, and all of a sudden now, this week, I'm sitting there Googling flights. Where do I want to go?
You guys want to go to Miami this summer? I booked a flight already.
Yeah?
It's cheap. Yeah, we're going to the Bitcoin conference. I don't know.
Are you
Actually,
serious?
I don't know if I'm going to, but it's supposed to be in LA.
You're definitely going to.
Well, I'm probably going to go. I don't think Michelle's going to go.
Yeah.
Her and she invited just one other couple right now. Currently, I'll invite you guys right here on air, but basically it's 3 days. I'm just going to go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, come back. It's June 4th through the 6th or something like that.
I'll be in Florida, but not there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But basically, I was just if I end up booking the tickets to the Bitcoin thing, that's great. And I was or we just go to Miami, which I've never been, and just hang out on the beach. We're probably going to stay at a resort. I'm going to stay downtown.
Just pop bottles on the beach? Or?
Just popping bottles.
Bro.
But, I mean, those are the types of things. We got the vaccine, and it was that day. It was the day that we got the vaccine.
Oh, yeah.
I was that night. I was I just
You're
booked
booking.
I was surprise.
Same.
I just showed it to her. And she was
Yeah.
what did you do? I was we booked tickets to the beach. She's okay, all right,
Okay.
no
That's
argument. It was what's gonna happen to our 3 kids? I was doesn't matter.
Who cares?
I was doesn't matter. We'll figure it out.
Pay whatever.
Yeah.
Go wherever.
Yeah, exactly. So we're excited about it. I think it's all positive for oil, though.
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, we all use it.
It's not going
Saudi
anywhere.
today with their OPEC thing.
Yeah.
Dude, they were they just straight up. I read this on Twitter. I don't know if it's true. Almost nothing I read on Twitter I believe is true. But someone said that there was a quote that they were basically dogging on U.S. onshore and said it was kind of it was Dunskies. I don't know the exact quote. I don't think he said Dunskies, but I think that
He could have.
But I think that it was
sounds very Arabic.
to that effect, and I think that they make a lot of sense, right? I mean, we have a president who doesn't want to drill for new oil.
Sure.
We
Yeah.
have a large swath of the public that doesn't want new hydrocarbons.
Right.
Or that's what they think they don't.
And more importantly, we have a large segment of institutional investors, shareholders, and members of the board of public companies that are completely rejecting investing in these in hydrocarbons, and it's interesting.
And that was going on before.
It was.
That was a trend that was getting on for the last 2 or 3 years.
In the last week, we saw some of the major airlines declare that they're going to be net zero by 2030. That's like
that's coincidence. Don't even get me started. Jeff's already giving me the side eye, bro.
That's like a grocery store saying we're going to be net zero food by 2030.
Zero food.
We're going to be net zero food by 2030.
Dude, I need to get net zero food right now.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. But the point is that Saudi Arabia is looking at that, and they're licking their chops. They're saying, this is fantastic. Yeah. We don't have to boost production at all, because guess what? The U.S. is not going to, because investors don't want it. The public doesn't want it. The administration doesn't want it. And guess what? They're gonna do it. They're gonna keep production flat, which is gonna give them higher prices, and they're gonna inch it up, and they're gonna make a lot more money, while we are in an environment where just because of the flight of capital, there will be less production.
Yeah.
Right. So this is playing into OPEC and OPEC Plus. So Russia. So our enemies are very, very happy with the current outcome. And that's, I mean, it is what it is. It's all cyclical.
Russia, China, Ukraine, Iran.
I'm not saying it's the end of the world. I'm just saying that right now they got a W, and they're excited about it. And the prices are going to go up, and they're going to take advantage of that. And we're not going to be able to, because there's not a lot of capital that's flowing into these things.
Exactly.
But capitalism, we're in America.
Yeah,
right.
It'll come back.
It'll come back.
It'll come back.
Right. That's
well, if it's not outlawed by then, God.
Yeah.
Sorry, I told you I wasn't against
outlaw, dude. I would be happy for that. Oil would be at $1,000 a barrel. I'd be like, let's do this.
Let's do this.
Like Jeff and I were joking about it earlier. I was like, I was like,
bootlegging this stuff.
I mean, like oil gets to $100 a barrel, and you get a lot of this. These companies like Exxon, Chevron, they've hired a lot of, it replaced a lot of their board members. They got some people in there that are very focused on the ESG and green initiatives, which, look, I'm not saying we shouldn't be cleaner, better, more efficient. Nobody's saying that we shouldn't be cleaner, better, more efficient.
Totally.
But what we are saying is that there's realistic goals.
Yeah.
And those realistic goals need to be met with realistic objectives.
Yes.
And some of these objectives aren't that realistic, and that's okay, because there's going to be winners and losers, and the losers are going to be the ones that pivot a little too hard, I think. Yeah. Just a little too hard. You can pivot, but pivot in an appropriate manner.
Exactly. Right. That's a great point though, Max, because I've always felt like I've heard about this stuff so I started in oil and gas in 2005.
Yeah.
So I've heard about this stuff from then on. You know, I mean, starting in Colorado, you hear a lot of the environmental side of it, and if people are really serious about a transition, they would really consider natural gas. Like I've always said that I would start taking
my language.
I would start. I know, right? Sorry. If I'll take you seriously on transitioning away from oil if I start seeing more infrastructure for natural gas, because the abundance of it, it's, you know, we've got so much of it, right? And it burns clean. I mean, let's talk about not pivoting so hard.
Well, let's just talk about meeting the near-term goals with reachable objectives that don't require new technology.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, look at the climate models and say, okay, here's what the climate models say. They say in 10 years we're going to be here, in 20, 50, 100 we're going to be here, and they give us these milestones. And if you look at the realistic, you know, how realistic it is for us to meet those milestones on the current path, it's tough. I mean, because we're still burning a lot of gasoline and coal. And yeah, we can pivot to renewables, but EV is going to take a long time. Like I've seen some statistics around if we were to convert it. There's a guy that I'm friends with via the Clubhouse app, Tyler. I'm going blank on his last name, but if he ever watches this, but basically he threw out a lot of good statistics that was saying like, look, here's the current adoption of new cars. It's like 5-6% a year of the fleet that turns over. Of that percentage of the fleet, there's a small amount that's EV, and he was like, even if we got to, you know, 50 or 80% of the churn, it would still take us 40 years to hit to the, even if we got to this level of the churn that we're not even close to on EV adoption. And so it's like, let's just be realistic around, okay, EVs may be the future in 200 years, but in the next 50 years, because so there's this part that it clashes, right? You've got a climate model that says we have 10 years. Joe Biden's website says we have 8 years, which is convenient because that lines up just with the two. This is the 2-year president. But if you take these models and you say, okay, like that's the part that doesn't jive. It's like, okay, we take these models and we say, let's believe it literal. Let's get to solutions that'll get us there in that time period. And those solutions are largely hydrocarbon based. They're just cleaner hydrocarbons, use carbon, maybe carbon capture. Let's invest in some clean burning natural gas for vehicles, transportation, carbon capture on power plants. We can hit a lot of these goals like realistically.
Well, let's not forget about what goes into EV vehicles. You're talking about rare earth metals. You're talking about
Exactly. No one wants to hear that.
Yeah, and you know what? What do you do when you're
not talk about
when your Prius costs more to fix than it's worth? What do you do with it?
Yeah, you dump it in a landfill, I think.
Yeah, you know what? You can't reuse those batteries.
Right. Yeah, but those are that's inconvenient to talk about. And like, look, can we get better at battery recycling?
But how much of that Prius is also made out of plastic that comes from petroleum?
Again, you're talking about how the world is, and we're talking about how it should be, Wes. Like,
dude,
talking about how the world is, and we're pontificating around how the world should be.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. I mean,
I really should have been like born in like a long time ago. I should have like my prime. It would be like in the 1950s. I'm just an old fart, man.
An old soul,
I guess.
But I mean, the point is like a lot of these things. To me, it's like, what's the objective? Is the objective to meet these climate goals? If we want to meet those climate goals, let's get realistic about it. And the problem is being realistic about it involves hydrocarbons. So. Being unrealistic about it doesn't involve hydrocarbons, but we're not going to meet the goals.
Right.
I don't think.
There's no way.
You can't meet the goals without the hydrocarbons.
But how? No, you can't. But that's the other thing is like even if you...
Not in 2030.
You're also, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying like the 2030 type goals. Yeah. I'm not saying 2100. I'm not saying 2050.
Whoa, time out. In 2030, nobody's going to own anything. Don't you know that yet? Come on.
Yeah, right.
And we're all gonna be happy. I don't know. Have you heard?
I've heard that.
I'm gonna be way happier in 2030.
Yeah, and
because these broken boat properties are gonna be worth like 10x what we. I'm just kidding. But back to so there's the macro, and that we have our biases, right? We have our biases. It's fair. The thing that's interesting is I've been on Clubhouse a lot, and there are some people that have Clubhouse is like this app where people like debate and talk, and it's been interesting to be on. Don't get on it if you drink a bottle of wine. Get on there and just start arguing with people.
What about a bottle of whiskey?
A bottle of whiskey is not good either. But
yeah, we almost drank a bottle of whiskey.
But the point is that people make some decent points. Like what I like to do is try to pride myself on listening to both sides, because I think that there's something to be gained.
Oh, absolutely,
100%.
No, we've totally lost that here. Like that's a massive problem. That's what's driving a lot of issues. Is we've just
people are so close-minded. I mean, there's you see it in the political arena. I mean, there's just one or the other. Like, are you telling me that everybody in this country
mind either
is boiled down to one of two schools of thought?
Right.
That's what we're left with. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah,
it's crazy.
It is tough. It's nuance is dead. I've talked about this a lot on other things that I've done, but we can go down that rabbit hole very far. Let's talk about. So, what do you guys feel about this digital media stuff? How do you feel doing your first podcast here?
It's fun.
This is definitely fun.
Well, kind of fun.
Actually, I did one other podcast, but there was no visual. It was just audio.
You haven't told me about that, Wes.
It was a long time ago.
You're early mover.
Yeah, dude, you're right.
Yeah.
No, I don't have like a social media account.
This setup, Max, I got to say, is
pretty
professional.
No, wait, I'm on LinkedIn. We already covered this. I'm on LinkedIn.
If you're going to do it, you might as well do it. I like how earlier we got some wives sneaking around back here. Maybe we'll get them in the camera. Oh, there she is.
Oh, there we go.
She just disappeared with a bottle of champagne.
Were like, got her. They were like, "Can we hang out in the living room?" I was
smirking as she runs up the stairs.
Yeah,
they were like, bad. They got banished. Max was like, "No, you." He was like, "You're banished. You must go."
They were like, "Can we hang out in the living room and talk while you guys are recording the podcast?" I was like, "Are you stupid?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "This isn't even a question." I was like, "Do you want to mess up this whole thing that we've planned?"
They were just like, "Wait, really? Okay, I guess we'll go." I don't know.
Go away.
Yeah.
They're upstairs playing ping pong.
Yeah.
No, they're actually probably shooting pool. My wife's actually a great pool player.
Is she? She's a pool shark?
Dude. Yeah, I had no idea what I was messing with. You know, the other thing that pisses me off is I taught her how to play poker.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big mistake.
Did she kill you?
She whoops my butt.
I'm not a poker
Not your
player.
behind, though.
Not my behind.
Your behind?
She whoops my ass. She whoops it. Yeah. No, she's crazy. Like she'll mess your day up on the poker table.
Yeah.
Because you don't even know. And then now she's gotten to where she gets a little bit like smart ass with it too.
Yeah.
You know, she kind of like she talks a little bit of trash, and it's
she's
like
whooping,
she'll kind of pull on her chips and say something snarky, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you gotta be.
I'm not a poker guy, so I don't know what I'm doing on the poker.
I don't have the patience for poker. It's a
What?
lot of sitting
That
there
actually-
for a long time.
that-
Very ADD.
You'd
Max
be okay.
is dreaming up like 8 business models while he's playing poker.
Dude,
we
trying
got-
to think
yeah,
about what
that's
the next thing we can scheme on. Let's talk
So
about
that's, you know what?
scheming and dreaming.
That's how poker used to be one of those for me before they did. Yeah, man, I'm about to date myself hard. So in college, we used to be you used to be able to gamble online without like it was not regulated.
Yeah. it was
There's
like
guys I knew that did
yeah.
that. They made like
Party
just
poker, yeah.
tons. Of,
That's what they told you they made. We don't know what they
no,
really did.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah,
He's flashing bank accounts, being like, "Look, bro, I made 20 grand.
Yeah,
I'm a junior in college. I promise." He's like, "I'm not showing you the 80 grand that I lost in my dad's money." He's like, "With this 20 G's, this 20 G's,
I'm
dude,
in the
I
black
definitely made this thing, dude."
My roommate, one of my roommates and I we played party poker all the time, and we paid our rent with it. No lie,
Sure.
I swear.
Sure,
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying. You notice how people that like are really big into like gambling or like the stock market, they're always just like flexing on their gains, but you never hear anything about their losses.
Right.
I got some.
We weren't like
We all do.
we were totally we're playing like back to back, like we were playing people toward us and stuff like that, like we were cheating. Yeah, we were definitely cheating, and that's why I think that's partly why that got outlawed. But it worked. If you got people to bet up, like if you had somebody working the table with you at the same time, you could bet people up and take their money. It was crazy. Like
You guys are so ethical.
I know. I'm sorry. This is what I learned in college.
Edit.
Yeah,
Cut that.
they were
You
cutting
better
this
cut
out.
that
This whole
out.
thing out.
Cut
He's
that
like, so
whole
here's
part
the
out.
deal. He's like, we cheated him. And
We took him to the cleaners.
Yeah.
We would though, man. It was a good time. It was fun.
Yeah, it is fun. I mean, I don't know. Like the biggest thing about gambling for me is, I think I've never been into the chance type stuff. Even if what we do in business is chance,
I'd rather throw it in Bitcoin.
Yeah, Bitcoin,
than
right, sure.
gamble on a sports game.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. There's
Upside is way higher.
Do you want to be part of the new world order or not? I mean, that's the thing.
That's it.
Yeah. Like, do you want to be poor or do you want to be rich in the future? Those are the things you have to ask yourself.
Those are your two choices.
You have two choices if you want to bet in Bitcoin. I'm like, choice number one is, do you want to be poor? People are like, no. I'm like, then buy Bitcoin. That's how these guys have broken it down. They've broken it down to that level.
Yeah.
I'm a total believer. I don't think I told you this, Max, but my brother-in-law made a bunch of money last year.
You did tell me. I
I
heard
did
about
tell
it.
you.
He was like, I'm going to buy some big. Dude, I have a brother-in-law that I think has a lot of Bitcoin too. I'm not going to dox him here, but I already said it's my brother-in-law, so people could find out who it is. But the point is that I think he owns Bitcoin, and him and I were talking about it a long time ago, and he like, real low-key and casual, was like, remember when we were talking like last year, you were talking about buying like 20K worth of Bitcoin? I was like, yeah, dude, I remember. It'd be worth 200 grand right now. I was like, don't bring it up. And I was like, and he was like, remember why? Like we were talking about, I was like, yeah, I was because like I didn't want to set up my Coinbase because I had to like scan my ID. Like that was like, I literally
that's where I'm at.
I literally had like 20 grand and I was like, I'm just going to buy some Bitcoin with this. And then I was like, I have to scan my ID. I was like, nah. I was like, I'm not messing with this right now. And then I was like, I would have made 10x. It's just like, and like I was just casually doing it. It wasn't even like money. That was just like, yeah, this is like retirement savings. I was like, I'm just gonna do this.
I had this like guy from my buddy from high school, and like sent out this email. This is probably like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's like, he called it like Shmoney Fund.
Yeah.
And it was like, hey, he's like, all right, if we just all put in like $800, initially, and then we'll put in like $100 a month. And he's like multiplying it out. He's like, we're gonna be fucking billionaires. It's like,
he's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong. And I haven't talked to him because I know he like I know he actually did it himself. Like this guy's, it's like regular Joe. He's probably worth fucking like,
Yeah.
10 million bucks.
I like how we've gone from behinds to fucking, and like the recent time.
Well,
it's good.
At least they're not in the same sentence yet.
Yeah, exactly. No, but like all these Bitcoin guys that I'm talking to, I'm looking at the camera. I'm like, how rich are you? I'm like level with me. I'm like, when did you get in? I'm like, when did you get in, bro?
Tell me your coins.
I'm like, how many
coins
How
do you
many
have?
sats, dude? It's not even coins. It's sats, like satoshis. It's like the denominator that they can break it into, like the lowest lowest
fractional.
Yeah, fractional is a sat, which is 100 million sats in a single Bitcoin. So
holy crap!
They're talking about how in the future, like it'll just be like sats. Like they won't even talk about it. You'll be like, I got 20,000 sats. Like because Bitcoins will be worth so much.
Yeah.
They, like you won't even be referencing it. Like, oh, you have a Bitcoin? You're one of the billionaires.
Yeah.
You're one of the you're one of the 1%. And I'm just like, level with me, bro. I'm like, when did you get in? Like everybody who's pumping Bitcoin, I'm just like, how much do you have? I'm just like curious because I mean, like, if you had a lot of one asset class and it was totally dependent on you pumping that asset class to completely depend on your net worth, I'm just like, I'm like, I like everything you're saying, but I'm like, level with me. Like, how much do you really own? Because every time you're like pumping it, I'm like, I'm like, this is a good story, but
you have like one, or do you have
it's like you have dozens of Bitcoin or thousands of Bitcoins.
Yeah.
Have you seen these stories of like these guys that like paid like like some guy paid like $500 million for a pizza? Have you seen that?
What?
No, he like bought like a pizza for like whatever that is. Maybe it was 50. I think it was $500 million. It was like a certain amount of Bitcoins.
50 Bitcoin or something?
It was like 500 Bitcoins when it was worth something that now would be worth. Is that right? What would 500 be? I don't know. I'm not going to do the math on the pod. Whatever, like $500 million, or maybe it was 50 million, some ridiculous number. And the guy was like,
very early on.
He was like, congrats, guys. He's like, we bought our first pizza. For all the Bitcoin people, they're like, yeah, we've heard this all the time. This is a popular meme. But for the people that don't know, some dude paid like 50 million or 500 million, some ridiculous number for a pizza, and everyone was like, congrats, dude, like typing on it or whatever, and like he just kept it. It would be worth like $500 million or something, or 50 million or something equally ridiculous. The difference between 50 million and $500 million, I'm like, they're both ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Whatever this number is.
Yeah.
Well, Bitcoin has changed so much because now you can invest in Bitcoin miners. And you can, it's like playing the stock market, you know?
It's a secret.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just kidding. But like oil and gas, man, Bitcoin miners
it's huge.
Could be a game changer.
Well, that's all. When I was talking about my brother-in-law, that's what he did. He took like 50 grand and turned it into something ridiculous. Over the course of a year by investing in the mine. Like he already had a position in Bitcoin, but then he started investing in the miners and then shorting it. Like he has this whole crazy formula.
Yeah,
and it's like, man, it's crazy. You can do that today.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, like it gets back to tie it into energy a little bit, is that Bitcoin's very energy intensive. Yeah. I didn't think we'd get into Bitcoin. Somehow it's always leading back to Bitcoin, the last podcast I've done. But it's energy intensive. It is it's another bull tailwind for energy consumption in general. Like demand's coming back. And if demand is also coming back from a financial perspective, the financial network that's going to drive future transactions, it's just all more bullish. I mean, like this idea so there's this common idea in oil and gas, and that idea is that natural gas and oil, natural gas for the most part, there's a pretty common belief, and there's a lot of good reasoning that it will be cheap forever, right?
Right.
Like no one puts a time horizon on how cheap it'll be, right? So everyone's like, forever. It will be cheap. Like, you think it's going to up in price? Like, have you heard about the Haynesville, bro? I'm like, yeah, I've heard about the Haynesville, but I'm like, look, or whatever it is, right? Like, dude, my buddy, dude, he drilled an 80 million a day well, IP'd in the Utica. I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. But I'm like, anytime the collective believes that something will be, an asset class will be priced a certain way for perpetuity, I'm kind of like, I think you're wrong. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I don't have a good logical reason to like back that up.
This is a commodity. You're probably wrong.
You're probably wrong. Yeah. I mean, like these commodities can go through like multi-decade cycles, right?
Right.
Dude, look at silver.
Yeah.
Just saying.
There you go.
Like that's a good point for that right there. I mean, I personally believe that it's essentially artificially depressed. It's kind of a GameStop-y, if you will. It has some of the same attributes as that stock had, and it's a commodity. I mean, there's less silver. It's harder to get out of the ground. Like there's a lot of stuff about it that it shouldn't be, $25, $26, $27 an ounce. Yeah. So who knows? We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, you're right. A commodity can't stay the same price forever.
It's not going to happen.
It defies logic.
No. And a lot of the gas reserves in the U.S., and this is the point that I've been harping on for my entire career, which is that we talk about a lot of gas reserves like it's unlimited, right? We talk about how there's just anywhere you go, you can poke holes and you can make all this gas. But I've always challenged that if you look at the economics, not the marginal MCF, not like if you're already producing, what's it mean to produce more? Well, if you're already producing, you have a lot of sunk costs. I'm talking about like the marginal cost to invest new capital into wells. Yeah. If you look at like these reserves, like in the Northeast, at $2 NYMEX, there's no reserves in the Northeast.
Right.
The Northeast is irrelevant. Doesn't exist. There's no Marcellus. There's no Utica.
Right.
Those plays are nothing. They might as well be fake. Right. Because you can't make money at $2 gas in those places. So this idea that we're awash in reserves, we can just drill it and drill it and drill it. I'm like, no, we're not. All these reserves, like they make no rate of return at $2. At $3, you're squeaking through the door. The door is like cracked open. You're like sliding in. Yeah. You're not really you're not blowing it out of the water at $3. No. You're not like lighting the financial world on fire. You're like covering your bases, covering your midstream costs, and you can virtue signal to your investors that like, yeah, we made it. We got a 10% IRR of 20 or 30 or 40 or whatever you're claiming in your investor deck that you're getting on new wells. But at $3 gas even, it's still very marginal.
Right.
And so at $4, $5, yeah, we're awash in natural gas.
Right.
But not at $2.
Right.
No.
So this idea that like gas is going to stay cheap forever, we got so much of it, it's like you can only go so long for not making money.
Right.
I mean, is that fair? I don't know. It's not a popular take. That's an unpopular take. People will argue with you all day.
Well, it just seems like to me that there's been like more or less a ceiling on it. To me, it's like at $3.
Right.
That it's been that way for like 5 or 6 years.
Right.
And it's almost like people think that, as soon as you're just going to turn the spigot on, as soon as it gets
But this
to $3.
whole, like the weather we just had in this area is a good.
Well, that blew me away because, I mean, you saw like the crazy spikes in Oklahoma, but, but Hub was still at $3.
Right.
And you had like
the futures market just like it was like a fart. It was like, nah, like whatever. We're over it. Like back to where we were. I had some gas bubble.
Yeah.
We're done.
That's crazy. So I mean, that one's been a tough one to figure out for sure. For me, there's just like a level of how long can people invest dollars into projects that don't make appropriate rate of return. I think the answer is a long time.
Yeah,
long time. You can invest decades of capital into a commodity that really doesn't get you attractive rate of returns because the price isn't there. But at some point, these reserves, like how real are they? How real is Utica or Marcellus? Utica, there's some big wells. There's some big dry gas areas. I'm not downplaying it. Haynesville, big dry gas wells. You can probably make rates of return at $2 in Haynesville. It's the best position-wise for LNG and for Henry Hub. And I'm not saying you can't make double-digit returns in those areas, but like with the backdrop of ESG and the green movement and with the backdrop of everything going on there, can you make attractive enough returns to pull in enough capital to make it to where gas is really a meaningful, we're driving a meaningful enough supply to keep prices depressed? Maybe the answer is yes. I've been surprised for a long time, my whole career. But at some level, I just think like a lot of these reserves just aren't real. They're not real. If you can't get $3 or $4 or $5 gas and a lot of this stuff, it just doesn't make sense to like aggressively pursue.
Right.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know.
No, I don't disagree.
I was a little bit bullish on gas. I think gas is the equilibrium price we talked about earlier should be kind of like the sweet spot of like $3.30 to $3.50 in the shoulder months, like $4 in the winter and summer.
Yeah, but how do you think like the EV movement like plays into that? Because it's I mean, how are you going to power this stuff?
Yeah, well,
that's the other thing that's so ironic. Like in the Northeast, they're on heating oil. A lot of those places actually use heating oil still. That's insane to me. Like this goes back to the infrastructure. Like there's so much natural gas there. Why aren't you taking advantage of it? Like it doesn't make any sense. Like don't tell me about solar and wind and all this other stuff until you guys are off your damn heating oil. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. It's just like it makes me crazy because I think that would bring the price back to where if you had more infrastructure and you had more people using it, there would be
it's like illegal up there. Like a lot of the states in the Northeast they're making it illegal to bring natural gas, new hookups.
Are you
That's
serious?
ridiculous.
Yeah, for houses in like
California's the same way. You got to have electric stoves and stuff now. Like what the? It's insane.
Wow. It's good for business, guys.
Well, I mean, but it kind of comes back to my question. I don't even know the answer to it, and something I need to research. But how much of that power generation is natural gas?
Yeah.
You know,
It's a meaningful amount, but it's not. It is trying to put a ceiling on it. Right?
Yeah.
Like they're phasing out coal, and that's why we've been so good at reducing emissions, is because coal has been phasing out,
right,
and nat gas has been ramping up. But they're trying to put a ceiling on it and put the renewables in, which is
yeah, it's something I need to get educated on myself. Is like how much of the power generation is what mix, like renewables versus natural gas, coal.
Renewables is very small. It's very small.
Yeah.
It's it's a subject that is contentious in a way because it is adverse to just the factual nature of like the statements that you're making. You're like, well, this is the percent that's at today. If we continue on the same growth, let's say we double the growth. Let's say we triple the growth. The percentage in 2030, 2040 is still pretty trivial.
Yeah.
Pretty trivial. So, and so that's the part that bothers. That's the part that bothers me is like, okay, we have these climate models that say that we have to get to here by this date, and I'm like, to your point, Wes. Well, if we switch to natural gas, we can meet that goal.
Sure.
But that's not even being talked about. So.
No, of course it's not, because all this stuff is fake. That's the thing. It's all nonsense. Like this whole the thing that really irritates me is like you look at these renewables and you have the materials that like the windmills are made up of. What are you gonna do when those are done turning?
Doesn't matter, Wes.
Do you know what you
Doesn't
can?
matter.
You can't. There's nothing you can do about those. You have to put them in the ground.
No one cares.
That's insane to me.
I know, but like that's the thing that I've struggled with is like, so there's got to be this medium too, where like, I believe in capitalism.
Sure,
we all do, right? I believe in this ability to the markets to decide, but like that's not real. I mean, the reality is like everything's regulated.
Yeah,
everything has like a sense of like the public perception matters, and so I think that like having conversations that are honest and that are open and not necessarily condemning, because if everybody gets the outrage culture, but like that's not productive on either side. So I think it's just like playing a little bit in the middle, playing it to the sense of like, hey, but have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Like, how do we meet our... That's why I'm always like, how do we meet our goals?
Sure.
And that's what I always try to focus on is like, here's the goal we've set, which is by 2030 we want to do this. So here's these other paths. There's a path of, doing solar and wind, which is great. We can make some strides here. Here's a path of, reducing coal. Here's a path of natural gas. But like, let's settle on a path that is realistic to meet the goals. And unfortunately, a lot of that involves... I say unfortunately... but inconveniently that a lot of that involves hydrocarbons and involves cleaning them up. It involves things like carbon capture. We can do that. We can do that today. I mean, like, if the government incentives were there, if they were throwing the money that they're throwing at these other things, let's just capture the CO2 off of these power plants, re-inject it. Like, we can do that. That's not that hard.
Right.
We can get to these goals. But it's inconvenient because it involves hydrocarbons. So, I mean, it just gets back to, like, don't be too... What I try to do is recognize that the world that we live in is governed by these things. It's governed by policy and by politics, and that's okay. But like, how do we live in that framework? Try to live in the framework that we're in and make good things happen. We're going down a bit of a rabbit hole, but the reality is that we can be better, more sustainable, do good things, but just be realistic. That's my whole goal.
Sure.
Be realistic. Like, let's just try to get to the objectives.
Right.
Right? Like, we got a lot of feel-good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, all that makes 100% sense, but good luck.
Yeah,
exactly.
Luck,
that's the problem.
Yeah.
Well, that's because things have to get trapped in bureaucracy for people to make money, and that's the unfortunate part about it.
And the cool thing is, no one's going to listen to an hour and 23 minutes of us talking, so no one will get to this part of the podcast. We're not going to get criticized because no environmentalist or no troll is going to make it this far through because they're not going to be able to stomach it. They're going to be like, these guys, these oilies,
these fuckheads,
these oily,
these behind heads,
these behind heads. We're never going to get to an hour and whatever 23. They're at 23 minutes. So let's move off of, because we have no other reason to just not keep going for a little longer. I know we're butting up against being able to tolerate this, but...
but we've almost finished this bottle of whiskey.
We've almost finished this bottle of Elijah Craig.
Yeah.
So real quick to end it, lighten it up a little bit and talk more about why are you guys excited about this new cabin that we're about to build, and just Broken Bow in general and real estate in general, outside of the macro inflation stuff, just like personally.
Wes, you go.
You want me to go? I like it because it's something different. It's something that, you know, Jeff and I got comfortable with the whole Park City place, and that was great, and kind of dipped our toe into the whole vacation rentals, but this is totally next level. But the great thing is Park City was fun, but it was a small place, and it's a lot of fun to come up here and, you know, get everybody, get all the families up here. I think that's what I'm looking forward to most, is just like, hey, we kind of have this like this, I guess it's an unwritten rule, but we want to try to get everybody up and stay in the place before we start renting it, just to kind of christen it and break it in. I love that. I think it's great. It's always a good time. The numbers on these places are crazy good. Just, it's insane. It's like Jeff was saying, like we had no idea that you could make these kind of returns on a vacation rental. We thought, hey, this is a good place to park some money. We can use it a little bit, like, you know, have fun with it. It's great. But we never made a ton of money off of it. It always paid for itself, and we enjoyed it. But man, this is next level. This is like a true investment, and it is a spot that I like coming out here. It doesn't take me long to get out here. It takes me less time than it takes you. You know, I like the feel. You know, like I said, I'm from Colorado. I like to be in the mountains. This is pretty dang close. You got a lot of topography here. You just got gorgeous sights, and it's nice that it's drivable. We've done down and backs how many times? We've done a few of those.
I've done them a lot.
So it's doable. You can get out here and check on the property, do things. So I'm excited to be in a place like this. It's gained a lot of notoriety and popularity in the DFW area.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is like, what's the vibe for like your friends and family and people in the DFW area that you talk to about it?
It's blown up. I mean, honestly, it really is.
Everybody that finds out about it, they're like, "Oh, we got to go up there."
Yeah, I mean, what's crazy is like 85% of the people that come up here are DFW.
Yeah,
and you're thinking like Oklahoma, you would think it'd be, you know, OKC, Tulsa, you know, all that stuff. But that's what initially surprised me a little bit. I mean, but then when you think about it, it kind of makes sense just because of proximity. But then now you're starting to hear like ads on the ticket. You're starting to hear like, okay, Real Housewives or whatever's coming up here. I mean, just stuff like that. That's really putting on the map. And it like North Texas, like, you know, Plano, McKinney, like kind of where you're from, like it's been on the map. But now it's like getting down into the heart of Dallas. You know, I'd say
the heart of Dallas.
Yeah, and like you see like all the HP people talking about it now, and stuff like that. So that's fun. But you know, back to your original question, what I'm excited about is, you know, like when I was looking at this, it was kind of like a hedge. You know, for me, it was kind of like, okay, well, we talked about oil and gas. Like, is this going to work? Is this long-term viable?
Are we circling the bowl, or what's going on?
Exactly. So when we started talking about it, okay, like this is a great, you know, hedge for me from a business standpoint. And it's something that, you know, anytime I talk to somebody about this, like the crazy thing is like I can talk to you about an oil and gas deal until I'm blue in the face. Every time I talk about this, I've got people coming back and hitting me up like, you know, the next week or two. Because it's something that, like, you know, I'm realizing, I'm seeing, it's something I believe in, it's something I know. So now, you know, now we're figuring out how to scale this thing. And so, you know, we're looking at the next couple places we want to put down, and then maybe raising some outside capital outside of that. And, you know, the exciting thing for me is like, you know, this is something like I would put my best friends and family in this investment, because I just feel that solid about it. So that's exciting. You know, to me. And as far as the new cabin, it kicks ass. It's like, it's badass. It's got amazing views. It's perfect for like 4 families to come down. You got 2 levels. The kids are downstairs. You know, game room. Parents upstairs. You've got awesome deck. You know, outdoor kitchen, fireplace,
shuffleboard pool table,
creek. TV,
I miss basements, by the way.
So do I. I love the basement.
Basement is badass.
Big fan of basement.
we have basements in Colorado, and I didn't know that like you don't have basements everywhere. When I got out here, I was like, wait, what?
Whoa.
The basement is a very underrated thing.
It's very cool. So I love that feature about it, because it's unique. You don't find them
for sure.
Even really out here, you don't find them very often. So it's kind of nice to have that feature.
Well, you got to hit it up. Angel's Landing Cabin.
Yeah.
Broken Bow. It's coming up.
It's exciting.
It's top of the line. It's going to be decked out, pimped out.
So if I got you guys more addicted to, I mean, you just started, but some doing some more content. Like, let's do some more content. I've been trying to lure you guys in. I'm new to it.
Like
but
sick content?
Yeah. What else kind of content are you going to make?
Yeah, the sickest.
Yeah, the sickest content. But just content in general. Like, it's just fun to kind of just do. I mean, this is the age we live in, right? So if you got these people that are doing like ridiculous, like silly TikTok dances where they're like doing some weird TikTok thing, and I'm like, okay, so they can post this. And I'm like, that's weird. And like, I would be really embarrassed. Like, I mean, some of the stuff people post on like TikTok or even like the selfies people take, I'm like, man, if I took a selfie in high school, like the selfies that people post, like that would have been the ultimate humiliation. Like your life would be over.
Right.
Like if you were somebody that was like taking selfies and posting them to social media when I was in like 7th grade, people would be like, you took a picture of yourself?
Douchebag.
Yeah, exactly. It would just be like, your life would be over. Like your life would be like done. And so it's a move from, okay, selfies are okay. I remember when selfies first got popular, I was like, this is crazy. Yeah. I'm like, remember like when we were in middle school, if you took a selfie and someone found it, you'd be like, I'm dead, bro. Someone found this picture I took of myself. You'd be like, I took this picture of myself with my shirt off in the bathroom. And you're like, I took one picture of myself with my shirt off, and then my bro found it, and he's gonna post it to this blog, to MySpace. My life is over. My life is over, man. This guy found this picture of me that I took of myself, and like it's all over. Like and like now everybody's just like posting TikTok videos and like dancing, like whatever. And I'm like, okay, so
I can't get used to that. I can't.
It's weird.
I'm old
I watch
school,
it, and I'm like, man, had this happened like 10, 20 years ago, I was like, you would be over. I was like, your life would be over. Like no one would be like this person. But now that's popular to do those things. So getting back to the content creating, it's like I've come around to genuine, fun, normal conversations where you're hanging out and humanizing and personalizing oil and gas specifically. It's like we talked about earlier, like the industry needs like just like a human personalized element.
Yeah, there's real like regular good people that work in this industry, and it just has such a bad, rap for no reason.
Really no reason.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like, okay, I'm not going to get out. I swear I'm not going to get on my soapbox. I swear. But I mean,
it's loud.
I'm going to go get some cheese real quick. I'll be right back.
It's the same thing like our food supply.
Bring me cheese.
It's like people just get disconnected from it. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't understand. Like your grandparents probably had some experience with a farm,
right?
Whether or not they grew up on one, their parents most certainly
they did.
Probably did.
Italy, like my grandparents from the Italy region, they definitely were farmers.
Dude, well, yeah, perfect example. It's like people are so disconnected from how you get cheese, how you get meat, how you our food supply, and the same thing has happened with energy.
Right,
they're happy to charge their iPhone 12 and then get on use that same iPhone to get on Twitter and bash oil and gas, but everything that they're doing, it's like it's so hypocritic, right? Like, I told you I'm not getting on my soapbox, but I do think that there's an element of disconnection that leads to that too. I mean, it's easy to demonize what you don't know or don't understand. Like if you don't understand that every time you plug your cell phone in and charge it, that some portion of that power that's charging your device is coming from hydrocarbons,
right?
And
it's like the moralization of different types of energy uses, right? Like even like we'll pick on Bitcoin again because it's topical, but even Bitcoin, like everybody wants to like criticize like the energy use.
Sure,
they don't look at like the goods about Bitcoin. Like people can like trade money; it's effortless. Like these countries where their currencies are being devalued, like they have a system of monetary means where they can like actually function.
Sure,
and they want to criticize it, but the reality is like you said, no one's out there being like, only charge your cell phone once every 3 days.
Right, exactly.
Like, quit playing video games.
Yeah.
Like no one's like attacking. So one of the biggest content creating industries is the video game industry. If you look at it, the video game industry is like hands down. Like if you look at YouTube, social media, video games are like, they get the most, there's a lot of streaming.
Can we just talk about that for 2 seconds? Like,
gaming?
Yeah. What the heck?
Talk about it all day.
People watch other people play video games now. It's like a thing.
Yeah.
That's all my nephew does. He's like, watches YouTube videos.
What the hell? Like, that part pissed me off more than anything growing up. Like, when I had to watch my brothers and my cousins play a game, I'm like, when am I going to play this damn game? I don't want to watch somebody play a game. And now these people, like, it's like a thing. You just watch people play video games.
Yeah, my kids watch me play all the time. I love it. I'm like, just sit back and watch, bro. And they're like, dude, the other day, Jack beat me in Mario Kart. Like, I wasn't paying attention.
Dude, greatest day of his life.
No, I wasn't paying attention. Look, I totally let him win. I'm just kidding. He actually beat me. But, like, he beat me, and I just felt a sense of pride. I was like,
sure.
I was like, congrats, bro. He was just like this wide-eyed look, and he's 5 years old.
Sure.
5. And I was like talking to my brother. Like, my brother was over, and it was my brother, my 5-year-old son, and me. We were playing Mario Kart for Switch, and I was like texting. I mean, I'm making all excuses, but like, I wasn't focused solely on the prize. And I was talking to my brother, and we were joking around, and I got like 7th place, and he got like 6th or something. You know, it was like he slid in. He had that little rocket. You know, when you get the bullet,
yeah,
and it just like pushes you through. And
he's
like,
the little private equity.
He's like, he got like the bullet or whatever, and he like pushed him through. And like right when I was going across the finish, he pushed across me and won. And my 5-year-old looked at me, and it was like this, like. It's like, sorry,
what's up now?
It's like, sorry, bitch. Like, bitch. Game over. Like, and I just like felt pride. I felt pride in it. I couldn't feel anything else.
Did he drop the controller and walk out?
No, he was like flexing afterwards. He was like, remember when I beat you? And I was like, yeah, I remember, dude. I'm proud of you.
I whooped Rowan's butt at 007 on N64 the other day, but when I looked over, he was like chewing on the controller. So that's probably
he's 8 months old. So
slobbering.
Yeah, he was drooling on the start button. I was like, no, buddy, that's vintage. Don't do it.
Suck it.
So we've digressed a little bit. Maybe we'll cut some of this out. Probably not, because I'm lazy. But the point is that we've had a good relationship. I love you guys in terms of the working relationship and also as friends. And I'm not trying to get mushy, but I'm just, the point is that like the comment that I made earlier is that like to do business with somebody, like to have that level of trust and understanding and connection, it helps everything else.
Totally.
Right? Because you're not, like, it takes that part of the worry of the endeavor out of it, if that makes sense. Like, you can remove that part of the endeavor from the risk factors, right?
You get over some hurdles. Like there's always a trust hurdle whenever you meet somebody, especially in a business sense.
We talked about that today. Like
we did. We talked about
the space that we're in right now. That is the absolute first question we're asking.
For any business, that should be the first question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we found out real fast, like, we've worked together with some folks really well, and you know, it's kind of like, look, if you want to hang out with that person and, you know, have a drink, or just, if it has nothing to do with business, you enjoy hanging out,
right,
then that's probably somebody you want to do business with,
right?
But if you can't really enjoy that time and it gets really like weird and strained and awkward, then
tense,
it's probably not somebody you really want to do business with, you know, for all the reasons that you stated earlier. I mean, everything moves a little smoother, and there's just that trust factor there that you can't really.
It removes that variable.
It does.
There's a lot of variables you have to worry about.
And that's a big one to me. I mean, like if like trust is huge to me in anything. I mean, not just business, but I mean, even like marriage. You know,
sure.
Way, like,
damn, man, we're getting into it, Max.
So deep, dude.
Like that's the number one thing to me is trust. If you don't have that, like in any friendship or marriage or
you're right. You're 100% right.
That is 100% the most important thing to me.
It is. So to end it out, because we're getting here in about an hour and 40 minutes or something like that. We're going to have to make this a long podcast, but that's okay. But the point is that we've had fun.
Whiskey's good.
Yeah, whiskey's good. We got future. We've got a good future.
Cheese.
Yeah, the cheese is good. We got a good future in oil and gas. There's opportunity for the reasons we talked about. There's some contrarian views on price, and I think there'll be monetary flows going into the energy industry on the hydrocarbon side for the reasons why we outlined. There's also good juju on the real estate stuff. If anybody wants to have just a phenomenal time and you live in Texas or Oklahoma or anywhere in the U.S. who's listening to this, hit me up in my DMs. We'll give you a great deal on the on the new cabin or on this cabin. And by the way, it's a good time. right?
It is a great time.
It's a really fun time.
It's a really good
We're
time.
getting off this so we can go to the campfire and do some
Exactly.
campfire jam sessions.
Exactly. We brought our guitars. We're going to record that later. We're going to vlog it. We're going to vlog this whole thing. Don't worry. You're going to get lots of content. So those are the
content.
Those are the two things. And so the third thing was like energy, real estate. The third thing is content. And the third thing is let's not make this the last time we do some fun stuff where we talk together.
Yeah,
let's do some more stuff in the future, whether that be pumping on the real estate or whether it be just energy stuff. But this is high effort because we had to set this whole thing up, but I'm also open to more low effort, just kind of us having a conversation 10, 20, 15, 30 minutes and let's just get it out there, because I think that some of the conversations I have with you guys are some of my favorite in the industry. That's why I wanted to have you on here, not just because you're my friends. The reason why you're my friends is because when we talk, I enjoy it. And so that's
Likewise.
what gravitated me to you in general in the long run. So I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having us,
It's been a lot of fun.
It's been good times.
And dude, just to your credit, the setup here, it didn't really take that long, and it's pretty pro.
Very professional.
I gotta hand it to you. This is like next
YouTube,
level,
man. Just get on YouTube if you're interested in content creation. There's a lot of resources out there, but you can go down the rabbit hole.
You can guide the young people out there.
I'm gonna do like a thing where I talk about the different gear. Like, we got the mics, we got the Rodecat or the whatever this is, the Zoom. We got all this different stuff, but we'll outline it if people want to be content creators. But the reality is, you can just have your cell phone and record a conversation, and that can be just as powerful.
Sure.
I'm just OCD.
But if you have all this really cool stuff, it's way sicker. Like, your content is way sicker.
Yeah,
right?
maybe. I don't know if it's necessarily better, but
No, it's better.
It's fun. It's fun.
Wait till we get out the door.
Well, you're doing a great job, man.
Yeah,
dude, keep it
Excited
up.
for what you're doing with the podcast, and the content's been great so far.
It's fun.
Look, excited to see what comes out of it.
Appreciate it. All right, guys. We'll talk soon. Let's cheers it. Let's cheers it again.
There we go.
All right, man. Thank
Broken
you.
bow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cheers.
Delicious.
All right, dude. We did it.
That was fun.
That was fun, huh?